Hello, 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 good evening. Good evening, and thank you for being here in such a large number. I think it's the largest crowd I have seen in, well, ever since this office was opened many years ago. And as you can see, it's very old, very dusty. I want to thank you for being here. My name is Codrin Baleanu. I'm an engineering lead at Levi 9. And I have been working in this industry for, well, more than a decade, to be conservative and not look so old. And I have been working in high traffic websites, small traffic websites, and very, very high traffic websites. Always passionate about security and systems in general, ever since I learned about that, those 4 letters like Unix. Some things clicked in my head. And together with my 2 colleagues, which will introduce themselves shortly, we're here to have a nice, relaxed discussion about some 2 domains in our software projects that tend to produce disasters. And we'll see if we can recall some of them. But please, everyone is a guest, and everyone can contribute. And if you want to ask a question or say anything, please raise your hands. And my colleague Mirella will come with the microphone and allow you to ask the question. Thank you very much. And guys, take it away.
Let's not forget about the disclosure about the agenda. Yeah, after. Hi, everybody. My name is Iulian Constantinescu. Some of you probably know me. Either they work with me or they studied with me at the university. What I can tell about me, I'm a DevOps, it says there, architect. I consider myself an engineer. I try to fix things. I've been doing this for the last 16 plus years. I've been in Levi 9 for 7+ years. So I think I have a few nice stories and learnings that I enjoyed during my short career.
It's my turn, I guess. I hope the microphone picks it. I need to switch over. Yeah, does it work? Oh, perfect. Thank you very much, or I should say mulțumesc, right? And I guess this would be the most difficult part of the whole panel discussion, because I would give it a try in the Romanian language, but I really do not know how it ends up, but it's always lovely to try. So, bună seara, eu is Peter, din Olanda. Eu locuiesc în orașul Iași de 2 luni. Eu învăț limba română. Limba română nu este ușor. Cel mai important, și face țiuie. And I hope that was, that somehow I passed the basic exam, and I will switch to the language which is maybe a bit more comfortable for the whole discussion. So again, Peter Hudak, and thanks for having me here. And I'm really lovely to see so many people that are interested about the topic of the cybersecurity DevOps Blackout. So as you've heard, I come from the Netherlands. I work for a Dutch company, ABN AMRO Clearing. ABN AMRO Clearing is it's a financial institution. We are part of the ABN AMRO group, and I really love the expression which our chief commercial officer says when he tries to describe what we do. He says, "You are the loodgieters," or that's in Dutch or in English, the plumbers of the financial markets. We have a global presence, offices all around the world, and provide access to the liquid around more than like 150 liquidity centers. For those of you that might have ever traded in derivatives, option futures, or at least with some investing in some equities, you might maybe heard about the keyword clearing. So we provide to some group of the clients access to these global markets. We call it like a brokerage service. For some of the clients, or most of the clients, we offer the clearing service, and maybe that's as well our name, ABN AMRO Clearing, and maybe the third pillar of what we offer is a custody service that is more linked to the settlement or administration of the positions. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here because we just recently opened an IT hub together with our partner that is helping us in this journey. We are growing up, and as I mentioned, I moved here to Iași myself, so I'm really excited and looking forward. Even though we're still struggling with the language, but you know, step by step, it always it's never easy from the start. So maybe something about myself. I'm working as a stream lead for we call it security testing, that includes penetration testing and the red teaming activities. And what I would like to discuss a little bit today next to in the theme is what are those threat actors, who are those malicious actors, what they do, what is their intention, and how does it impact the DevOps team, the business teams, what characteristics they have, what initial access they use to get in. Yeah, I hope you would enjoy it all. We try to make it a bit interactive, right, Codrin, and maybe then I will just hand it over back to you, that you would speak more about the team. Maybe a little bit, because we always speak about our work and what we do, and if I can say something about myself, that is a bit unique and a niche. I tried like 5-6 years ago to join something called like a free running or parkour exercises, but you can imagine when you get to the age of 40, you are over 80 kilo and you try to do a backflip, it looks more like a bag of potatoes that you try to throw in the air and roll it back. So yeah, not an easy one, but you just keep on trying. Yeah? Sometimes it's just crossing your comfortable zones is the way how to move forward. And yeah, but that would be then it. Thanks again, that's me.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Iulian. So yeah, to begin, a really short disclaimer about the agenda. We basically brainstormed, and there are a few topics which we would like to cover, but definitely we're not going to stick to it. There are some themes that are kind of overarching, and of course we are also very fine with the discussion going whichever way based on your input or questions or comments or anything like that. So don't take it, so try to take it with a little grain of salt. All right. And of course,
yeah, Peter, I have to say it. I see the cameras, right? I see the live stream, and I would like to share to our compliance departments that all the opinions expressed in this dialogue are our own personal opinions. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, yes. So that was like, thank you for our sponsors, but differently said. So Peter?
Yeah, so here we go, threat actors. So you heard what we do in our team. I mentioned pen testing, I mentioned red teaming activities. By the way, just a very quick question. How many of you know what is the difference between the pen testing and the red teaming? Can you just raise your hands just to feel where we are with the penetration testing and the red teaming? If you know what the difference is. Hands up. Okay, so then yeah.
Do I count?
Yeah, good. So in the pen testing we focus on trying to exploit the assets that we have in our organization. We try to see if we can exploit any vulnerabilities, and these assets, the way how we approach the penetration test is that we would have obviously a sign off. We inform our security operations. We agree with the asset owner on what is the scope of the pen test, what is out of the scope of the pen test, and is usually asset focused based on certain triggers and the conditions that we have. When it comes to the red teaming activities, this is a little bit different, because this is where we would leverage on something what we call threat intelligence that would identify potential threat actors, so the malicious actors, the bad guys, if I can call it like this, that might have a potential interest about an organization. And during this red teaming exercise, we try to emulate their behavior, so try to be as much realistic as possible. And if you look then at the group of the threat actors that are in the space, there's obviously like attempt to group them together and create a certain characteristics of who they are, what they do, what is their motivation, how they act. And I think the most easy one to start with, and I think it is well quite popular because it pops out in the media quite often, are the cybercriminals, the ransomware gangs, the professional criminal gangs.
So maybe it's worth asking, maybe try another show of hands of who has heard of ransomware.
Yeah, okay, that's quite a lot. So any maybe ransomware gang that you are familiar with? Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, good. So indeed, I mentioned that professional criminal groups, because this is not about like just sitting together. Let's be a ransomware gang. It's actually they're quite well organized. They're quite well professionals. They have organizational structure. They have people that are responsible for the negotiation part. There are people who are responsible of analyzing the financial numbers of the company that they are about to get ransom of. There are people who are in a technical department. There are people who are responsible for crypto washing, just to make sure that it is a professional criminal group. But what is very specific about this group, those guys are opportunistics. And their goal is just to get the money. That's all what they care about. Just getting the money and that's it. So once they get in, they do not wait. They just move along. They don't try to be stealthy. They don't try to hide away. They try to achieve their objective as soon as they can. And why? Because they just want to deploy and encrypt the data, right? They want to extort the data and then start ransoming you. And this opportunism is something that often hurts. We will speak about other threat actor groups, and we can get into some ethical discussions, but that opportunism hurts because they do not look only at some rich institutions which they want to squeeze off. It's as well about the schools. It's about the hospitals. It's about the people that they are in the hospitals, but they don't care. They want to get money out. They don't care which organizations we are targeting. As soon as we can just deploy our ransom, get out the money, that's it, right? And this is as well, it's not only about that ethical aspect, but you see how much of damage do the ransomware gangs do in the world. It's as well where the law enforcement agencies started to be a bit more picky about them. And I have this picture on the slide. It's a famous Operation Kronos, when the law enforcement managed to seize the Lockbit 3.0 infra. And I really love the way, because normally when you see in the ransom group, they want to put the pressure on you, so they will say your company name and they will put some timer, so it starts sticking. So you have 10 days, and after the 10 days, we disclose the data that we have exfiltrated from the organization. So what they did when they took it over, they as well created this sort of like Advent-like type of a page, where you could see that every couple of days, some more informations were released about the threat actor. And they push back. So what you see here, that's the classical examples how they get, and because they're as well professionals, they would as well leverage on the services of others, like initial broker access. So you have a people, or again organizational units, that are only focused using the info stealers, for example, or any other type of techniques, collect and gather credentials, and these credentials are later offered and being sold on the market, which they can use then later to go further. It's internet-facing, one-day exploits, zero-day exploits, opportunistic, anything that comes. Once I have it, we just go and run it there. And then, of course, with the extortion itself, sometimes they even do the double extortions, triple. So it's not only releasing the data. You need to have as well the decryption keys. So it is a professional group, but something as well. What you see here, they are even getting to this stage that they started to offer for people jobs on the market. So you can be hired. If you have the skills, you can be just hired by the ransomware gang. You agree on a salary. There are holiday days that you have included in the package. So they try to formalize, they try to grow. And with this money which they get out as an outcome of the ransom, they have incredible capital that they can use to support their activities, to develop further. So it is...
It is a market, because not all, from what I know, not all malicious actors also deploy the malware. Some are just in the business of selling zero-day exploits or creating attack channels in various entities and then selling them off, right?
Yeah, that's definitely market is the case, and this is what you see, the diversification of certain skills and the roles. But what is interesting then, okay, we have the ransom, huh? we are in, we deploy the ransom, and then what? It is, what happens then? Huh? How would you respond? You come to the office, at one day you open your laptop, you log in, and then you see the screen. Huh?
Yes, well, a picture says 1,000 words, right? So this is what you do. You take a selfie, what not? Any self-respecting engineer will probably do that, and then try to fix. Well, in my case, first I learned it wasn't fixable, so okay, I'll just take a selfie. But yeah, Iulian, maybe you can add your thoughts on what do you do.
Yeah, the situation in itself is pretty ugly. It depends how much you want to get implicated and how much valuable the data is. What I can tell you is that we didn't have a ransomware. I didn't experience it myself, but we had let's say a similar issue with probably everybody from this room knows Jira server, yeah, Atlassian product, a Confluence, and yeah, to a former project that I worked on, we were like around 200 people relying on that ticketing system. Nobody knew where it was hosted. We know that it was working fine until it started to work very slow in the morning when we did our ceremonies. And in the afternoon, it started to basically not work at all. So yeah, people started to open chats on Slack and say, what is going on with the server itself? Why we cannot access it? What I can tell you, the DevOps team in that company, it was pretty seasoned. I can just give you a number. I had colleagues which had like 40 years in the company. But most of them, they didn't know where is this server located because it worked so fine until today. And yeah, we did some investigation. We found out it was an internal IP. We didn't know it was exposed externally. That's even uglier. And yeah, we seen it was in an isolated AWS account. And no surprise, we logged in, and our Jira system was crypto mining. Yeah, it's not funny. Yeah, especially from
yes, it is.
Yeah, it's funny now if you look back. Yeah, Jira put to good use.
But sorry, I cannot help but asking, did it create a ticket in order to mine Bitcoin?
Yeah. In the end, how we solved it, probably most of us should know. We isolated the machine itself. The good part, I think, was there wasn't any lateral movement from, there weren't many resources in that account. The machine itself didn't have that many permission because it didn't need it. So we were lucky in that sense. So in the end, we extracted our database and we moved to Jira in cloud. So no more maintaining, nobody maintained that one.
Mirela? Sorry, Mirela.
I was saying if you got the tokens, if the server was crypto mining, at least maybe you got the result of the hard work.
We don't know where it was mining, what it was doing, but what we know is that we get rid of Jira from the hosted one, and we implemented a product like Guard Duty, so that thing shouldn't happen in any of the accounts from that moment.
So, but I think you mentioned a very interesting aspect that was about it. It was funny, it was not even funny. So let's look a little bit at that psychology. Yeah? So you are faced in such that you have a security incident, right? You have some crypto mining software deployed, and you say that time it was not funny. Well, what exactly you refer to?
Probably, I can excuse myself at least in this situation because I wasn't in charge of it. Nine of the DevOps, we never knew that by the way, the company had also hardware. It was like a hybrid company. It had like at least 2 physical data centers. And basically we didn't know where that machine existed. So, but what I know that we had a department of security, and there were 2 security guys. Probably if they see this stream, they should give us some more.
They see the stream?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
But yeah, okay, I think that psychology is important, of course, and this is maybe one of the aspects, because with the ransom and with the ransomware gangs, in this case, we had some opportunities to try to do some crypto mining, because they discovered the resource which they can leverage on. But looking at that psychological aspect, so you indeed, you are faced, you just walk to the office, you open up your laptop, and it's all what we've seen in the photo before. So what do you do next? What is then your strategy?
And this was across, I don't know, tens of
ransom. You have a business, right? You have something is just deployed, and they will make some calculation. They look at your revenue model. They see what is the percentage. Okay, I can afford it. Would I pay or would I not pay? And is there anyone that is willing to share the view on this?
Do I have backups?
Well, and so what? So if you say that if you do not have the backups, then you would pay.
Depends on how much money do I have.
Well, they
Probably they calculated. So
they look at your revenue. They know how much you can afford to pay. Yeah,
so 10% of the
negotiation in a place, right? You can
first request 10%.
I would see it as an opportunity. Maybe you don't agree, but you just accept that it happened to you, although it's not funny, but it's an opportunity because Iulian mentioned that after that incident, you started using guard duty on all accounts. So if you see that red message on a black screen, then you start creating backups. So next time you don't care.
Yeah, it's a good one. I hear that improvement, right? Taking that step back. I hear backups, I would say as well, incredible part. And how about that, maybe that ethical dilemma? Because if we pay, right, we contribute.
You encourage the hacker to
but on the other side, if we pay, we hope that we get what we get the keys.
Yeah, I guess it also depends on who the victim is. It's like here in this room, who would pay to have someone install Windows on your laptop? See?
It depends. If you have your crypto wallet and you have at least a Bitcoin in there, probably you're going to try to pay if that amount is reasonable.
Yeah. And then maybe second question, because there is always about the data exfiltration, right? So they have your data, and then you pay, they promise, we don't share the data. Would you trust a criminal? Would you trust someone that is representing such a criminal group?
We have a question.
Yeah, it's not a question, it's actually the answer. From my point of view, paying it's not worth it because nothing guarantees that the hacker will not keep your data for longer periods of time, and you're going to encourage him the next time to re-ask for the same amount of money or even more, and basically you're going to end up in a blackmail situation. So it's best to have the data backed up and hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. The correct ransomware playbook plan, right? You have to write backups, being able to assess and know what we should do if this happens. And as well around tabletop exercises to practice this, to make sure that we have that resilience in the place, that we are aware that this can happen and we know what to do when it happens and we keep on practicing that.
And of course, we always test our backups, right?
Yeah, indeed.
What if they threaten to publish it? because it could be private information which people could care about. So.
Yeah, when it gets to then the confidentiality of the data, right? Quite sensitive. Huh? It's not an easy decision that then you have to make, and it seems like that people pay, right? Companies pay back, and so who would then make that decision? Is it whose call is that? Is it technical choice? Is it a business decision?
Probably stakeholders. Like the example from Apache pipeline from the United States, they paid the ransomware. So in order to unlock the valves and the whole system for the oil to go through pipes, they didn't have a choice.
No, because their revenue is like dollars per liter flowing through those pipes. So they don't work.
So in the end, they pay like $40 million for just to unlock it.
Well, some of these actors I know weren't even able to unlock the data. So it was fake. It was like irreversible, the encryption of the data. So even if you pay, you're not guaranteed it will actually fix your problem.
Well, the thing is that they try to be professional, right? So if you get that, then you get into the negotiation process. You have companies that help you to negotiate with these actors. They usually provide you a key for the sample of your data. So they try to act as a professional criminals. It's not this kind of bunch. But then again, that question comes: how much do we trust them? Did it happen in the past that once the data was exfiltrated and suddenly we started with another ransom because another group managed to get access to that data? Not an easy one, right?
No. And sometimes you have to understand that these kind of attacks for one organization or whatever can also spread like wildfire. It can be interconnected with other entities, other companies and things like that. And it can, of course, everyone knows that, but it's quite a risk in my opinion. Good.
Oh, the APTs, the famous APTs, being a hacker on a government payslip. So APTs, what it stands for is like Advanced Persistent Threat, and this is a synonym for state-sponsored actors, threat actors, malicious actors. Those ones are a different game. These ones are extremely sophisticated, extremely skilled groups with as well a different type of budget, different type of capacity, different type of access to the technology, to infrastructure. However, they have a completely different goal than the ransomware gangs that we talk about. We had on the one side that financial, we want to earn the money, so we want to just get rich, the financial motivation. For the APTs, the story is different. It's absolutely different. So we have here an example of a structure of Iranian operators. And there are a couple of groups, that they're all, you have some nicknames. Some of them just have a number like APT39 and APT34. There are some links. Some of the more fancy ones, like I don't know, like Muddy Water or Nemesis Kitten. Depending on which type of vendor, they will just attach this name to that. But let's just think loudly. We have Iran, Iranian government that is having. We have the Ministry of Intelligence and Security. And we have their IRGC, which I think they're the guards, right? The revolution guards. And then, so what might be the motivation for Iran in this case? And it is a question maybe to the audience. How much the government what they would do with this type of group that has this access? Anyone has an idea what they can be aiming for?
Bypass sanctions.
Yeah, sanctions one, could be. Maybe dissidents, so people that are already outside of the Iran and they want to maybe have to know who they are, what is their activity, who they reach out to, what they are busy with.
Cyber warfare, the wars of the future will mostly be fought like this.
It's part of the game already. That's very true. That's very true, and indeed. Cyber warfare is just part of, indeed, the military operation space. But we have there as well geopolitical advantage. We have disruption. We have a sabotage. And when we talk about the ransomware gangs, when we had the time, when they want to act faster, in this case, they have a time. Once they get in, they just need to get down and stay hidden. And they wait. And they wait for their opportunity to strike in. And when the moment comes, they strike in. And at that moment, they achieve their objectives. So it is a bit of different type of the player. Maybe I was just, okay, we had here Iran, that maybe sound a bit far away. But let's say it's like Romania. Would there be any interest of any APT to zoom in Romania? Would there be any motivation? Why?
Well, not an APT, but I can think of something that I found out some years ago when out of the sudden, all of my clocks, like from the oven, from the microwave oven in the house, I think washing machine, but I'm not sure, that one has one. It has AI though. Went like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes ahead. And I was like, okay, my watch says 100, these were all 104. I was like, what the fuck? How can this be? I started researching because, yeah, of course I'm going to find out. And it turns out we in Europe are all part of this electricity grid. All the countries are interconnected. One power plant in Serbia had a malfunction and like a disaster, stopped working, whatever. I was like, okay, so what? I keep digging. Turns out your ovens and microwaves and whatever, they all have a, they don't behave like watches. They don't have their own ability to tell time, and instead they use the frequency of the electrical current to measure time, to tick. And because some major plant in Serbia went down, this basically changed the frequency of the entire power grid in Europe. And that made my oven to show 4 minutes in the future, the time. And this for me was like really relevant for what Peter was saying, like, because it might be, oh, Romania is like a poor country, a third world country, whatever, no one hacks Romania. But it's not like that. Because you can hack something and then you have a jump box to go somewhere, to go to some bigger fish.
Actually, I thought the European Union opened a cybersecurity center in Romania recently. Yes. Yeah? So that could be a trigger. Do you support Ukraine in the war conflict with Russia?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, here we go. That could be a trigger too, right? For the
yes.
Because yes. these are not only the APTs from Iran, right? They come from all over the place, right? Russia, China. So these are then the geopolitical triggers, right? That could potentially have that. That could be the reason why they might want to zoom in and play their cards.
And of course, like, is it like safe to assume that these beings, state actors, also have like access to really, hard to obtain gear and technology that they can employ to do their work?
And a government, with the government backing you up, it's a different game. So indeed, the development of the tools, but as well the exploits or any kind of knowledge, which is behind the hardware whatsoever. So that's indeed the case. And on the other side, they might as well, and this is where we have that evidence, and I'll touch that a little bit later in the Mitre attack framework. We know that some of the tactics or the tools are as well-known tools, and this is for us as well an opportunity to try to replay those attacks and learn from them, learn how do we respond on this, and then maybe coming back on the way how they move through your environment, because in order to be stealthy, you need to create as less noise as possible. And I have these two shortcuts, for example, LOTLs or LOTS. So if you leverage on existing tools that are like living off the land, installed by default on your operating system, then you might trigger less noise if you would just bring in your toolkit and just deploy it and run it there on that OS. And it's the same with the LOTS with the sites. If you deploy your C2 backend that runs, I don't know, on a GitHub, then interaction with that GitHub backend might trigger potentially less noise than if you deployed it on a according to Iulian.ro site, right? Yes. Or levy8.com. Right? So that this is something that as well is good to keep in mind. That to become more stealthy, just leverage on what you have or what is known to blend into the existing BAU executions.
And sometimes I think it's like, at the end of the day, it's something is vulnerable. So it's like with the domain name system, and like there are just a few people that ultimately control this entire construction, right? And thinking like SSL in AWS, that's one other thing that I bothered Iulian a lot with, and I keep bringing it up. It's like if in AWS, for example, you register a domain name for whatever resource, and you want to do like you should do. You want to encrypt the traffic using SSL, right? Amazon offers you their own certificates, like AWS certificates. That's fine. But up until recently, the only region in the world where you could store those certificates was in North Virginia, USA. What else is in North Virginia? Does anyone know? CIA, yes. Highly coincidental in my book, because Amazon has their offices in Seattle, not in North Virginia. But yeah, of course it's fun. It's just a conspiracy story. I don't have any data to back it up.
Let me follow your thread and your conspiracy story. So let's assume that's the case. Eh? Would you prefer to have this? Romania is in NATO, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Right? United States are in NATO,
yes.
Our partner. Would you prefer to have NSA access to those keys, or Chinese, or the Russian government? And this is maybe when you have to make a choice.
Yes, indeed. But does it count if I have a Xiaomi phone?
It's sometimes a choice, right? And it's it's like who do we trust less, or who are our partners in this case? If this is indeed, because we are assuming a lot here, it's just purely a conspiracy, absolutely, right? Yes. The camera. But indeed, you are making calls, right? You are making choices here, and then within the NATO, I would say, then or the European Union.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, someone knows what you do at home.
Yeah. And maybe last use case. It's quite as well common as the industrial espionage, right?
Yes.
There are a lot of organizations which they have quite a high intellectual property, and in order they protect it well, and they are under the radar of the APTs, because they might just want to get into this. And when we speak about the intellectual property, so I'm just thinking how to linking back. There is an intellectual property as well in the private sector. So we have this private sector, and I will just make a check here. Pegasus, does that ring a bell? Yeah, how many hands? Just have you heard about the Pegasus? Okay, 1, 2, yeah, good, okay. So there is a business, there is a market, and then this market is leveraging on some quasi-legal frameworks and structures, and they hire extremely skilled cybersecurity specialists. And what they do, they develop cyber weapons, and these cyber weapons are on sale, because what they care of, the private sector, they care about the profit, and some of the consumers or the clients of these private sectors, they might have legitimate interest to use these cyber weapons. And you have a government, right? There are a bunch of criminals running in Romania. We can use the tools, and using what we call zero-click, zero-day exploit, meaning that you don't have to do literally anything. You receive a message on your phone number, and that's all what I need to know. What is your phone number? We own your phone. We have access to your data on your phone. We monitor what you do, where you are, who are your contacts, what are you sending over. And in the case of the criminal groups, this could be a legitimate way how to approach it. But how do we know if the government that purchased the license is not using it for something else? We have journalists. Journalists are critical. More we move to the autocratic type of the government structure. Journalists are one of the first to focus on, because they challenge the status quo. These are the safety net catches. How about opposition? How about some dissident activists? How do we know that this is not being used in any other way?
You don't know. It's a stealthy big brother which is watching you all the time. It knows all the time what messages you get, whatever passwords you have.
Yeah, and Alain.
Yeah, it's a good business to be in because you can also create demand for your tools. So you create the problems and then you create the solutions, right?
Yes, yes, that's very true. And this is then the ethical part. Yeah? How do we know that if we develop these tools and we have organizations like NSO Group that is selling Pegasus to the governments, that the way how their tools are consumed is an ethical way. So they and what then defines these boundaries of the ethics? How do we steer it? What is the
Because with what they say in Linux, like with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah.
And it's really difficult to steer it, because you have the Cayman Islands, different constructions of these companies, and are extremely skilled people, and they know what they do then. And this is why as well in the bug bounty programs, I think there is now, organization, I'm pretty sure that Apple does that too with the Googles. If you have the 0-day, 0-click exploit, I think it's about what, I'm a little bit putting some rough number, like 2 million, 3 million euro that you might get as your bounty if you write that code, or because you can sell it there too in the private sector business. So they start competing too, and it's a tricky part, and especially it's a bit scary looking at that we officially sell those tools and we allow the governments to consume them. But I want to ask, anyone has maybe opinion on that ethical boundary? That is this something that you consider as well to be sort of like a shady space, or you would say, yeah, let's just do it. Let's trust our governments.
This is also like in the weapons industry. You create weapons and they can be used for defense or offense. So it's the same dilemma until the beginning of time. So.
Just to give more context, until discovered, this tool was able to crack any Android version, and I think iOS until 14, iOS 14. So yeah, after they discovered the potential of this tool, they've patched it, but it was like OP, overpowered the tool.
Yeah, it's a 0-click, right? 0 day, yep. So you don't do anything, and it's then how do we then do we have that control then mechanism within the governments to make sure that this is used in a correct way? And maybe here in the Western world we have that mechanism, but how about the other countries?
Well, in the private sector, it's difficult. I think the ethical responsibility, and I don't want to open this bottle of things, but ethical responsibility should be each and everyone's, like including for me as a developer. Like I was working in doing like online how do you say social media marketing, social media platforms, whatever. And our bosses wanted me to build a way to monitor users across websites, across different platforms, without cookies, without any sort of persistent thing on their devices. And we kind of built it, and it was really awesome, really freaky to see, like even in incognito mode, you could detect if you were on site A and then on site B and then on site C. But then the accuracy wasn't just that great. For some devices like Apple ones or like, well, God forbid Linux, it was very hard to do the tracking. And we started investigating, and we started going into CMOS clocks, you can actually, the quartz being like a really small piece of rock. Every rock is unique, and every single computer has like quartz in it to measure time, and turns out they are unique. So you can basically uniquely identify any single computer based on the signature of that quartz by the way it reports time. So every single computer will have a different offset when asked what time it is. And that's just the simple one. There are really more complicated ones. And then we started adding those in the software. And at some point, I got scared. It was becoming way too good. And I go to my boss and I tell him, like, that, okay, this is what we can do from an ethical perspective, but these are the 4 variants that I know we can try. This is going too far, and I'm not doing it. And we should really think that we need this great, entropy.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing example that you shared with this, because we have a question.
Yeah,
Okay,
cool.
then let's
It's open. It should be.
It's open now? Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot about ethical stuff. So it's a great thing that people think about it. As a developer, you might think that you have an ethical responsibility towards your consumers, your people around you, but you cannot actually assume that every developer, everyone can actually do that. So I think maybe we should take the discussion more into the trust area. I mean, can we trust what we're interacting with? I think it's a more fair question than ethical, because we can talk about ethics and philosophy all day long. I'm not trying
No,
to
exactly.
detour. I'm not trying to detour the presentation, which is a fair question. Maybe we should all strive to be ethical. I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
But I think the more sane question would be to actually think about trust. And more than that, you can trust something but verify. I mean, that has always been a good policy. Trust but verify.
Indeed.
So I think it's a more of a, in that direction more than talking about like, is it ethical for me to do that? It might not be, but someone might do it. So someone will do it, actually.
Absolutely.
I can assure you
But
that.
do you want to do it?
I might not do it, so I might not say I might do it.
But I think that
You know,
awareness
but
aspect.
it's about trust more. I mean, we should also think about that before putting that question.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way of putting it, because indeed, if I or Daniel won't do it, someone else will. That's a given. That's a fact. So, and yeah, it's not, which is why I said I don't want to open that bottle. But yeah, trust is important for certain actors. Like if you're, I don't know, an online store, you want to be trustful, right? You want people to spend their cash on you. So then you try to not deceive them, right? Booking.
Not try to manipulate them with all kinds, spam them, do all kind of marketing engineers just to sell probably what they don't need.
Yeah, hurry! 2 other users are viewing this property.
Yeah. This is the last product. The 5 are looking right now at it.
And more, you mentioned about that, don't try to deceive your customers, which is true, but most customers don't know how to test stuff. But if we are using something that we're going to pass along the customers, I mean, I think there's the supply chain attacks, which are most common, and I think this is the most easiest way to do. And most of the attacks that happened lately have been through that.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned about some organizations that spend a lot of money to do other stuff, but that's the number one. So coming back to the trust part, I mean, you should also take this into account.
To be fair, and correct me, Peter, if I'm wrong, but supply chain attack is just another channel of getting in.
True.
Of access.
Yeah, it is a vector.
It is a vector used by.
You can see it as a vector, and
True.
indeed it is a significant vector. Right?
What I was meaning is that you act for other people as a supply chain. You are part of the supply chain.
Yes.
So I was talking about doing your job. Good.
And a bit about the trust, because it's good that you mentioned that. Do we trust by definition, or do we then need that external regulation that would enforce certain baseline of the trust?
Yeah, today in 2024, yes, we have regulations. We were actually discussing this earlier today, but 20 or 30 years ago,
Wild West.
Wild West. The internet was the Wild West. Everything was open. Everything was easily penetratable. Some of you might know. Some of you may not. But yeah, everything was really easy to do. You could find everything. You can do everything, and there were no consequences because you didn't think in these terms.
I remember like 20 plus years ago when I was younger. I played around with the Linux, and you would put your network card in promiscuous mode, and you would just see all the traffic. Like Yahoo Messenger never encrypted the username, the password, and you could just see it all.
Yes.
The first
Those were the days.
TCP dump that you did on your network interface, right?
Yes. Good.
Good times.
Yeah. So here we are, insiders. Question to the audience: who is potentially insider from this group of people who are here? Yeah. Okay. We have one. Just one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Someone.
I wanted to ask you something about how often did you find yourself in the position of having really critical discussions, or before? No, let me rephrase that. How many times you find yourself in a situation of trying to warn people before it happens, and it doesn't actually happen anything? I mean, how many times are you trying to warn people this might be a potential cause of losing data, of being, and things don't actually go that way? I know it not be really a comfortable question regarding this being filmed and everything, but did you find yourself in this situation often, or now less nowadays? Yeah, yeah.
Are you referring to like awareness concepts of security?
Not more than awareness, but actually trying to go there. So, guys, I think I might be onto something. We should do something, even though it might take a lot of money.
Okay, so yeah, so in this case, so what is it for me or Iulian? Yeah, so like if I then just add one thing and I'll stop. So for me, and this is it's an important aspect of security for me personally. It's about the culture. It's not about the finding. It's not about what we discover, because longer we dig, we will find something. Always will find something. What counts is how do you respond to this finding? Do you try to downplay it? Do you try to push it back? Do you try to come up with some excuses or completely ignoring? Or you take it seriously? You really see it as a finding. And this is what counts most. How do you approach it? How do you? What is your response to the finding? Not the finding itself, because it happens. It happened. It will happen again. This is not what counts for me. It is that culture. It is that behavior. It is that mindset, which is something which I consider as a measurement of your maturity in the organization. I will always find that's our job at the end.
I totally agree, and probably I have a story related to insiders.
Next.
Yeah. Yeah, insiders. We all have colleagues with that we trust, and after they leave the company, they leave us with a little present, and the images are pretty revealing. This colleague of our dear colleague, he did it, I would say, in a smart way. He would mine all the machines which are idle. So whenever our colleagues would log in, the whole process would stop. The servers themselves, how we identify the problem, that the usage of the systems, especially the production ones, got to an average, somewhere around 60 plus. And when we looked this happened like in 2012, and we used, probably some of you know those kind of tools, 𝐀𝐻. Now we use Grafana and other tools, but in the end, the idea is the same. So when we looked on the averages, we've seen something unusual, at least on the long term. So yeah, we find when CPU mining was a thing, it seemed that our colleague managed to mine some cryptocurrencies while we weren't paying attention, because we didn't needed that much security, because we weren't a payment processor to implement intrusion detection, intrusion prevention, scan for activity outside of the patterns. So yeah, it was pretty ugly, but trust. It's about trust. And
how much did he make?
I have no clue. I have no clue. hopefully it's worth it.
Yeah, but going back to
coming back then to those insiders and see with those insiders that so they're different then as well for the insiders, and I saw that movement with the hand of the colleague, any of us, right? And it could be an intentional motivation, but it could be as well unintentional motivation. And in the intentional motivation, see, do we have Justinian here, our delivery lead? Ah, here he is, my favorite subject. So yeah, you know, you struggle, you work hard. You work hard, you come, Justinian. Yeah, I deserve something special, some special treatment, some bonus, and he's not coming. He's grumpy. He's saying no, that doesn't work, and you become grumpy and frustrated too. You have a personal financial situation. It doesn't work well. Something is being challenged. Yeah. He's and then that could trigger a certain response
Behavior.
of it. It could trigger a certain response of that employee. In this case, it could be then the revenge. So I leave, I find something, but I was so treated badly with my employer that I will revenge back, and I will plan something small. As a little present on my with my farewell party, which didn't happen.
Yeah, or even worse, like you could have, and this is like a true story. I'm not even making it up. Like you could, like we use OneDrive, right? OneDrive is for like sharing, and through my job, I have access to a lot of files of, well, more than I would like, but such is life. And one day I was cleaning up all that, I was going to say shit, but I'm not going to say shit, all that work. So I was cleaning up, I was deleting, and at some point, a few minutes later, some guy from Serbia, from IT, writes me and says, hey dude, why you are wiping out our company's financial propositions to the customers? I was like, what? Really? I'm not doing that. I'm just cleaning up my OneDrive. And it turns out I had, for some reason, received like write access to a shared drive, a shared folder. And of course, that appeared in my OneDrive because, yeah, good UX. And I deleted it, and it actually deleted the source. And it started deleting all those really important files for us. But yeah, we had the backup. So.
And in this case, right, that wasn't intentional, right? So it was an unintentional aspect.
I swear it was not intentional.
Yeah, but you could have restored them 90 days. I did that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, from the trash.
And the guys from Serbia helped me.
I was terrified
Thank
when
God.
he wrote. I was terrified. I was like, oh, fuck. That was my reaction.
I was the same.
I wasn't thinking about backups and backup policies and all that. I was terrified because it wasn't something that I actually performed intentionally.
We have double layers of verification.
Yes, of course we do.
On the insiders, without intention, I have also another story. This happened like, let's call it recently, like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, there is a slide, far as I know. This one. In that company, yeah, we were, most of the guys, we were seasoned people. So I would say at that time, I only was for 4 years in that company. And I had colleagues which were like 15 plus, 40 years on that. Yeah, they were on premise, they came on the cloud side. And we had a new guy. Even if the new guy had like, I would say 16 years experience on the on-premise, he joined the cloud team and he managed to break our pretty production cluster. This happened before Kubernetes. We had the products from HashiCorp. Some of you will know Consul, Mesos, Marathon, and our colleague, we knew the process how to deploy a cluster. Whenever you do it in sandbox, it will happen in parallel. Whenever you do it in production, it needs to happen in a serial manner. Otherwise, you would lose some data. And things didn't work that well. He only tested in sandbox. Yeah, it worked fine. Don't touch the development because people are working over there, but you can upgrade the production. Okay, bad choice. Basically, he managed to screw the production, and we were with our this Dutch retailer, which is top 3 retailer from Netherlands. It was down for at least far as I remember 3 hours. Yeah, so we had to rethink our way of knowledge transfer and getting people in the team. Yeah.
Yes, same retailer, but different story. I remember I was
Not a good retailer.
yeah, very good retailer, top. That's not the name. That's top, as in top retailer. We were working there, and we had a guy in the team. He was handling the whole checkout process. So, like in shopping, checkout is the final stage where you see your basket, add vouchers, add your credit card details, and pay, right? Address, and then you pay, and then thank you for your order, good job, thank you very much. And this guy was he was doing like some A/B testing stories, and because we could deploy to production straight away, there was no other process than just committing your code, and that was it. He did some changes. He implemented that A/B test thing. That's what I remember, at least. And the changes went live. And for a certain number of time, I won't say how much, our customers, whenever they were buying stuff, they would go to pay. They would go to checkout. They would add their details, and before they would add their address, and then they would hit like the next step. And the next step was, thank you for your order. Your shipment has been sent to you. No payment, no nothing, free. Everything was free. The funny part was that, thank God, everything was like robotic. Like, don't believe that only Amazon has those robots and robotic warehouses. These guys also do, and plenty more. So everything was automated shipping. So whenever you hit pay, and you paid, like instantly some robot in the warehouse starts collecting your order and it will ship it automatically. Package it. And there's only one human at the end that his only job is just to verify what's in the box, to verify the contents of the box. And that's it. Everything else automated. And the order started being shipped. I remember that how they found out or something like that was that someone ordered like a 4,000 euro couch sofa. And that has to go to another manual check because you don't simply automatically ship.
I think they use forklifts for heavy, really heavy stuff.
Yes,
but people managed to order like at that time plasma, really big screens, and they were for free. At least they got some marketing for that mistake.
Yes, and yeah, it was very, very funny.
Yeah, for us.
For some people, yes. Yeah.
Probably a lot of jokes next day.
Well, instead of doing your DIY chaos monkey, just hire an intern, give them root access, or you could do it in a more planned way, like have disaster recovery exercises and actual plans to delete production, because you need to do that if you're in a sensitive area like e-commerce. You can plan for this thing. You don't have to wait for it to happen because it will happen eventually.
Yes, indeed, correct.
Indeed.
For us, for example, the simplest or the most important metric which we would observe was euros per minute. Euros per minute compared to the previous day and something like that.
So no euros.
Yeah, so basically you would be fine with some spikes. But if you see some like a 10% drop, that's when alerts would start ringing and people will get escalated really fast.
I'll tell you later a story, but we monitor more than that.
Yeah.
But this is from business perspective. So especially on Black Fridays, they want to see those 30 million coming. Otherwise, something is wrong.
Yeah. Peter, you want to say more about insiders, or?
Yeah, maybe just a last one for the insider. Sometimes when you just look from the third perspective and the organization, how you see that insider risk, it feels like that we have often organizations that are. It's a nice example with the coconut. They're strong from outside, the shell is hard, but from inside it's empty, and there is not much of control. So we put that control outside of the organization. That's why insider is a really tricky one and really tricky to manage.
Yes. I think it's nearly, well, not nearly impossible, but the moment you have someone stepping inside your organization, within the walls, I think the vectors of attacks increase a lot.
Yeah.
So you can do.
Probably the most successful attacks could be from inside.
Yeah.
It's the easiest. We're already in the house.
There's a name for that, right? Trojan horse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but probably for each of this, so that's again, we go back to the risks, right? Which risks do we identify, which controls we do put into place, and then maybe, by the way, Justinian is one of the most lovely, not the loveliest person I met here, and I just love to leverage sometimes on his role and responsibility. But just think about that financial example that you might run in a financial crisis. Maybe there is a fund in a company that you can have available for the people if they are in the financial need to support them, right?
Yeah.
To avoid them getting into debt and then coming up with these ideas. And you just need to see it from all different and the risk perspective and putting potentially certain controls in place.
To mitigate these kinds of risks.
Detecting, mitigate, prevent, right? But it's a tricky one. And I think then with the insiders.
If you have like happy employees, you kind of minimize the risks. Like they say, happy wife, happy life, right? Good. Yes, but indeed, yeah, I think there are ways, but yeah, insider usually is the worst and
it's
difficult.
Really difficult one.
Yes.
And
what about these guys, Greta lovers?
We are anonymous. We are the legends. So, who could be anonymous in this group? Here we have one. Yeah. Anyone, right? It is completely decentralized type of organizational structure, and if I can even call it organization. And what makes it different? Looking at the other threat actor groups which we talk about, is there more ideological, political sense? They want to send a message across. And I know I touched the topic of the ethics, and maybe I will pull it again, because here we say is it. So look at the hacktivist. If we place on the website of company A, which we do not agree with what they do, for whatever reasons, because of our vision, our values that we represent, if we change that website and send the message over to get some attention, to put the logo over, is this something that we would consider a criminal offense? Do we harm then if we do not damage, if we do not, we just try to use another type of the communication channel that we have. But of course, it's not always the case. There are different type of techniques which are used, not only the defacement, so modifying to sharing that message, but as well distributed denial of service attacks, which then you are not able to access that endpoint at that website. As well, the data leaks to expose certain behavior of the organization. That hasn't, but this is purely driven by that ideological purpose, and
it's very real. It is very real. I remember we were working for a customer that was basically selling mapping solutions to like Find My Store type of functionalities to serve to whatever brand or whatever customers we had. And one of our customers was in the United States. He had like kind of a few thousand restaurants, locations opened worldwide. One of their leadership members one day said, went public and said something like, hey, we won't ever hire gay people. We don't hire gay people in this company. Really, true story. It's on the news. And it was on the news. And people were really upset because of that. And people wanted to do something because of that. And they started boycotting their stores. That was their problem, not ours. But we were supplying them with software that was coming off from our servers. And they also tried to hack us. We had a lot of DDoSing coming our way artificially, but also naturally. And the natural DDoS was happening because everyone across America was searching for driving directions to those restaurants using our software. And that triggered a lot of requests to our systems, and we nearly went down. So that's, in my opinion, activism in action.
It is part of it, and I see it's about the symbolism. But we have maybe some question here that the microphone.
Yeah, and these things happen really often. I mean, I had the similar situation, story. I was working for a company. Actually, it's public. It's the Metro Group that was for a while was still having stores in Russia, and you know the story. Until recently, there was no actual restriction. Just please do that. And until then, a group actually there was an attack, and for a few days there was a lot of system actually down. So a lot of the company had actually a lot of loss in that area, and more than that, a lot of time of recovery and finding out what's the problem, fixing it, going haywire with all the preventions, even some places even unnecessary. So this takes a lot of a company, even more than you initially think. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but we shouldn't talk about only the negative side of this, because it's kind of like a defense mechanism for society. So this can also be used for good. I'm not saying anything about that, but for example, oppressive regimes, or when freedom of speech is impaired, or it's not only a bad thing. It's like a defense mechanism for the new way society works. We can view it in some cases as this.
So you see there's a sort of like a safety net in the cyber world to protect certain principles as a democracy?
Well, you could see it as a form of activist. So the activism has always been part of society, so it just adapted to the times.
And from the law perspective, how is it in Romania? It's probably
forbidden.
I think it's aligned
punished
with the European Union.
Yeah, so you see, right?
Depends who you ask.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah, just about what Alin said, I think that at how much length can you go to say that something is right or it's moral? So, okay, now you say that, okay, I want to defend my freedom of speech and I'm doing this hacking that is for the greater good. And then you say, I don't know, I don't have the style of living that I deserve. And then you go a bit further with maybe provoking some hacking or that. So, I mean, it's really, I'm not sure if it's okay for you to decide where.
True.
So I think it's a bit philosophical.
It's a tricky one, but let's compare it. We have, right, in the real world another form of activism. Right? We have different type of movements, Greenpeace, and any other ones that as well, they have certain techniques, and probably there is as well this thin layer. Where do we stop and where not? But yeah, again, maybe coming back to that threat actor, right? Very highly decentralized and very difficult to foresee. What is it? Where their target is, and
because these guys are not after like money, basically. They
Nope.
do it out of passion.
Nope. Yeah,
Our TV is going idle.
it's a message that we are getting. Yeah. Is it time to power off us now? No.
Just need to press a button.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, should I continue? This story is not about hacktivism, but it's about more of a hack. This happened somewhere around 2012, 2013. Me and a colleague of mine, we've been hired to take over a job. We were new at the job. We didn't know the landscape. We were getting familiar with it. The company was from Australia. It was in the marketing business. The servers themselves, they were hosted in, for those who recall the name, Rackspace, GoGrid. So it was like a pre-AWS era. I have a habit whenever I log in on a server to use at least one or two commands. One is W. I just want to know how is the server feeling, what's the load on it, and who's logged on it. Because usually I use the wall command to communicate with the other guys on the server for any reason. And another one was the lust. W and lust are pretty. When I get in, I use this, and I've seen, as far as I knew, me and Andre at that time, we were hired for this job, and I seen we had colleagues from Germany. So I've started to ask the company itself. It was pretty small. It were like 30 people. Most of them, they were developers, only 2 DevOps. And I've asked around, do we have colleagues which work with from Germany with us? And no, he said, because I already logged in on multiple computers, and I've seen the same pattern. Basically, somebody from Germany, it's logging in. And we realized, we did a deeper inspection, a thorough inspection on the server, and we found unwanted scripts over there. And after that, we contacted the guys from Germany. We told them, hey, your server probably is hacked because the hacker came from this server. Those guys, they were surprised, and they collaborated with us, and we managed to do some research. The whole thing took like 2 to 3 days, and we took a look through the scripts, and we managed to find all the machines. Some of the machines that were captured, they were bots on our 𝐻𝐻𝐬 channel. We got on the 𝐻𝐻𝐬 channel. Yeah, we did some good things. We released the servers, the captive servers, and in the config themselves, we found some email, and we did some research. That guy was selling stuff on. It was familiar. He was selling something on Mercador, probably Mercador.ro. It was pre-OLX. It was it was a Romanian guy who yeah, basically on the server itself, the Germany server, it was like a jump server. So he was trying to lose trace, but we found that the IP was from Brasov. Anyway, we contacted him. He started to screw us. Yeah, no, why are you calling me? I don't know you. A lot of F words. And yeah, we tried to, we sent him a message where we said, we gathered a lot of information about you and what you did. And in our interest is to find out if you took any data, especially personal information. Otherwise, we were going to be pushed to talk with the police. And surprise, surprise, he collaborated with us. He told us the way he got in, he exploited a kind of, some of our server, the SSH server had a bug. You could brute force it and only give a few characters from the password and you could get in. And some of the servers suffered from, they sent a package and they could bypass the whole thing. So no matter if you had password or if you had a certificate, if it was exposed, yeah, basically he was able to log in. And fortunate for us, we've been able to at least be relieved that he his purpose was to store stuff on our servers. He was using our servers as either to, he was doing remote, he explained us how he did it. Through the bots from the IRC, he was able to do remote control and launch all kinds of whatever he wanted to run on our servers, especially store stuff on them. Yeah, that's
interesting as well that you trusted that guy. Right? So yeah, sure, I didn't do anything. This is what I have done, and we are just friends, right? I just leveraged on a couple of your servers. Well, it's just maybe you have a job for me.
It's almost like he was an ethical hacker helping
No,
you.
no,
You should
yeah,
pay him.
In the end, the idea is that he didn't try to disturb our services, and he didn't dump the. At least we didn't found. I don't know if we did some research about data signature somewhere, like have I been pawned or something. No, probably then it didn't existed. So we got on the trust side, yeah. So upgraded the servers.
But just out of curiosity, how many of you know what IRC stands for?
IRC, the IRC.
Yeah, because you speak about it like
Internet
it's granted,
Relay Chat.
but I see it's like 7 hands up, so 8 hands. So there is like before the times of Teams, right? Before the times of what did you have, the ICQs, right? Or any other? We were in a different type of chatting. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's still of course. Yeah, it is. But indeed, this is how IRC started.
Don't expose the whatever service. Yeah, try to whitelist. Yeah, the conclusion is whitelisted only for your office, whatever.
Good, cool. So, Peter, tell us something about.
I was waiting, hoping for that moment, just to stand up a little bit and stretch my legs, and you know how it goes. Every time you collect more data, there is a bureaucracy that steps in, and bureaucracy don't have it as always as a negative connotation. Try to create a certain structure, certain order to use the information most efficiently. And one of the frameworks that is used in the information security world to somehow understanding, to overview and create a structure on what different phases are involved during the attack, and as well document them and map them back to the malicious actor. And the Mitre attack framework is a framework that keeps the overview of all these different type of TTPs that have been identified. It's been on a continuous basis updated. And I didn't have that. I was advised not to do like live clicking. But if you go to the Mitre attack framework page and if you pick up any random threat actor you are interested to learn from, you can just select them, and you would have immediate direct mapping to what exactly techniques, tactics, and procedures they use. So it always starts with sort of like a reconnaissance, resource development, and initial access. Then you have this like in phase. Then you have the through phase. Once you are in, you have a low privileged account. You try to escalate your privileges. You want to do some lateral movements, move towards the organization of the ecosystem. And the end, we have the action on the objectives. And it could be exfiltration. Something with the availability, confidentiality, integrity of the data. And then for each of these then phase, like, I don't know, let me just pick something here. Yeah? Abuse elevation control mechanism, or the bit job, access brute forcing for the credential access. When you expand that further, you can have the details of this technique, which is used sometimes is mapped directly to the command. And it's as well for the organization, it's great that how you would as well test your defense. Right? You can emulate those techniques, you can try to reproduce the specific technique and see how your prevention or detection controls work. So it is a powerful framework, but with all the time, you know, with the frameworks, it always looks fancy, and I feel super excited about it because once you use it, but once you see this kind of like, yeah, you know, this boring site, with all these different windows, that it doesn't reflecting that enthusiasm which I have personally about this framework. But just give it a try. If you want to learn something how how some malicious actors really work and what commands they launch, then give it a try, have a look, and then I will then stop with Mitre attack.
Okay, so
Yeah.
plenty
How
more.
are we with the time? Are we a bit behind? Yeah.
Yeah, so this went faster, way faster than I expected. I don't know about you guys. We didn't have any breaks, by the way. In the end of the day, I remember a few, and this is not just John Carmack. Well, who knows John Carmack? Just thought, of course you do. Of course you do. Yes. Who knows Kevin Mitnick? RIP. Rest in peace. Yes, we are friends on Facebook, actually. Literally. I befriended the world's most famous hacker. On Facebook, yes, of course. Why not? Yes, no complaints, no regrets. But yeah, in the end, like for me, working with both cybersecurity and DevOps professionals throughout my career, and being exposed to well, these two very complicated and complex aspects of our technologies, of our technology life, I can say that they have something in common. Like I said in the opening, like they kind of tend to produce disasters when they're not handled properly, right? So both DevOps, both security. Of course, there's different sites, different knowledge bases, different techniques, different abbreviations that mean something in security than they mean in DevOps. But at the end of the day, it's just another part of our complex ecosystem that we live in. And I think it's very important to understand that you will be hacked. Like no matter what system you build, you will be hacked. Like given enough time and effort, someone will find a way to penetrate, right? That would be my closing remark. And Peter, what do you think about this?
That statement of being, it is continuous. It is a continuous effort. Just expose yourself to public IP, and see what's happening on the public IP. And so this is a continuous practice. What I'm really happy to see that information security is becoming less of a cost center, but as well our business or organizations recognize the value, and they can also quantify the risk that is linked to the information security. I see a little bit of tendency of bringing in an organization, or let me say, in the past there was that cost center, right? Now we have like DORA regulations, so the regulators are as well enforcing a certain security controls they need to be in place, and I see that more push towards maybe compliance-driven security. Yeah. I was tempted to throw some AI buzzword here for the thing, but yeah, we have it on all conference calls, so let's keep it for now and how that. But indeed, it is a part of it. Just
we need to say AI because the YouTube algorithm will promote us.
Here we go.
We get 2 more views.
Yes. Yeah, AI.
It's an exciting type of theme, and I'm really happy that I had as well that exposure to be in that space and learn from it, and I'm really happy that I could share some words about that with you.
Yeah,
you said the compliance word. So during your latest year in this field, like security, have you noticed a change in shifting in mindset? Like usually you up your security game after you get hacked and you get destroyed. Did you notice a shift in mindset from companies, like investing in security before the disaster happens?
Absolutely, and this is that quantification of the risk, which is quite visible. That's one, and another is then maybe those regulators and that compliance requirement to prove that there are certain controls in the place in certain industries. So yes, definitely, that's the case. But what I meant by my compliance-driven security, we all know about the phishing awareness campaigns, right? Like who didn't receive before some email with some, and this is what I find important is as well to realize how much of the values certain activities performed by the security organization bring to the team. So we all know that security campaigns in most common form, they do not really potentially do not really increase the resilience of your security posture of the organization. So you need to do them smartly. If you do them in a traditional really way, that you just get this fake email that, I don't know, from Prince from one somewhere in the world that send you money, and you click on that, this is not what helps. So it is something what I try to say here is that sure, there will be more compliance push towards the security, but we do not only check the box. We need to really see what brings the value for our organization. And this is where I see potential challenge moving forward. But yeah, again, security. So then in the beginning, we spoke pen testing, great teaming, and I hope that a little bit of sharing that world about the threat actors, the intention was as well valuable for the audience. And yeah, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And thank you for being here. And yeah, we'll be around. Feel free to reach out and talk over a beer. Yeah, if there are any questions or that you still want to ask now, or if not, we can just go grab beers and yeah, let's take questions over beers there. Thanks.